My goal for the next week is to hike up this really long river. It's just all old growth forest. And then I'm just gonna slowly wind up the river as it gets higher and higher in elevation. And these trees are, some of them like 1,500 years old, even older than that. So gonna see some really big trees and do some nice river camping, and then hopefully, if everything goes as planned, I will end up in the snow up in the Alpine with some good views of some peaks. It's not very often you have a really photogenic creek such as this one, with access to the river and a good flat camp spot around it. So I think it would just be stupid for me to leave this, especially when it'd be nice to get some firewood and have a big raging fire tonight. But I think the game plan is to stay here, make a fire, shoot this area, and then reassess what I want to do in the morning, go from there. That's what I like about these trips, is never really know where you're gonna stay, you never know what's gonna happen, and you never know what you're gonna find. It's just a big adventure the whole time. But man, what a sweet spot. I'm gonna get my tent set up. So I've been over here watching the light change in the forest. Just starting to make some dinner, but it's getting really nice right now. See, all the sun is setting right back over here, just blasting that whole shore. And that's all reflecting off there into this area right behind me. So I'm set up shooting right over there. Then there's where I have my tent set up. Some massive trees here, just go way up. But I was working on a few different compositions. The first one I was shooting was over this way a little bit, and I couldn't get the waterfall back there with the stream balanced with all this stuff going over here. It just didn't look right, so just kept working my way over here. Now I have something set up that is close crop zoomed right in there. I'll pop it up on the screen here. So I really like this one. This whole right hand side is balanced with the moss in the foreground, then this gnarly twisted tree back there. And now that this light's all reflecting in, it just looks so cool, because you can see where all the dappled touches of sunlight are hitting this foreground tree. And then it gets a little bit shadowed down there near all those leaves and the moss. And then it's getting lit up a little bit more back in there. So it's almost like these different layers of light. And it's all just because it's reflected light from back here. So it's like a soft glow box on this whole area. Man, it's really nice. But the first shots I was taking, I was getting some motion blur in the foreground. So that fern was blowing around. So I've just been working on dialing in an ISO that is at the minimum where I don't get that motion blur. So what I do is I just wait until I see that there's no breeze down there, and then I've just been firing it off. And I'm shooting at f8, ISO 320, and 1/2.5. And that'll give me nice detail back there where all that water's flowing down. And it won't be like a really smooth, long exposure detail. It'll be more granulated, and you kind of see the streaks going through all the water. Once I get a few of these taken, I'll pop some up on the screen on the computer and kind of look at the different exposures of each. Yeah, that one's cool. So here is the unedited raw file of the composition that I just captured. And I took a few different versions of this with varying shutter speeds to mix up the texture in the water right in this region and down through here. So this was taken at 1.3 second shutter speed, and it gives some nice silky effect to the water, and there's still light amounts of texture, but usually I'll take a shutter speed that's at 1 second, 2 second range, and then I'll also take some others that are maybe an 1/8 or a 1/5 of a second, and that gives a whole lot more texture, and then I can compare and contrast those when I get home. The other thing that I was talking about is keeping this fern right here stable without motion blur. And what I often find, if that you have something that's in the foreground that grabs your eye like this fern, and it is not in sharp focus, it really takes away from the image. So if I have motion blur maybe back here or somewhere in there with the leaves, I'm not really worried about it because it's not in the direct center foreground.
and I don't really need it to grab my eyes and pull me into the composition. But for something in the bottom foreground, it's always good to keep it as sharp as possible. So I really like this composition. It's not my favorite from the shoots, but it's well balanced. It has this anchor point in the fern, and then your eye just kind of rolls up through that stream. And then it also has nice dappled light. You can see that there's light hitting all these edges, and this can give really nice depth and texture to the scene, because if we zoom in here, such as these regions back in this part of the image, you can see where this light hits, and it almost molds or gives depth to the scene because it goes from light and then it transitions to darker areas around the side of the tree. So that's why that reflective light that I was shooting is so nice for in the forest. So I'll probably end up editing this one. Like I said, this is the raw file, but I think it has all the ingredients for some nice color and light in the final edit.
So now that I have that first initial shot, I'm just going to dial my shutter speed settings around a little bit. So I'll take some at lower ISO, which will give me longer shutter speeds. And the nice thing about aperture priority is that it's just going to hold this exposure or this amount of light for me because I've set the exposure compensation. So it's going to happen here. Just verify my focus. Use the back button. And I'm just going to drop the ISO, and that'll just give me a longer exposure. Now I can see how that looks for where this stream kind of cascades down right there.
So here's the other shot, and this was taken at 1/3 of a second, which was a bit faster than my first shot. So if we zoom in here, you can see there's a whole lot more texture in this water because the shutter speed's a bit shorter. So I like this kind of shot because you can really see all the detail in the water. And sometimes I'll take the image file from the first shot and this second shot, and then I'll blend them together. So sometimes you'll have really silky water, and then other times you'll have texture in the water. But if we look at the bottom of this one, you can see this fern has motion blur. So that's not ideal. And if we look at it full size, you can see how that kind of throws your eyes off when they first start here as an anchor point. It doesn't do as well of grabbing them because it doesn't separate as well from the background or whatever's coming behind it in the scene. Whenever you have the first image where you have really sharp edges right here, it provides depth in the scene because you can tell that this fern and the water aren't at the same distance away from you. So just being able to split up the scene with things like that can help it a whole lot. So let's jump back into the shooting technique.
Wow, this is such a cool place. I'm excited to walk around tomorrow morning when I have some more energy and check out some compositions. I think there could be some cool stuff lower down in here. We'll see what the morning light is like back in here. Starting to get to the point now where the light's starting to fade. It's not hitting quite as hard over there. Man, it's like a little paradise. Good find. I'm excited I stayed in this spot. So I moved just slightly over and down. And for this shot, cropped right in there. Kind of bracing the right hand side with this massive twisted old tree, and then the foreground is all these ferns, so it looks very close to this. So I have stream coming through, kind of offsetting that side, so it's a little bit at left off of center, and then this balances the other side. See it on the camera screen right there. So I'm shooting at f11, ISO 250, and that gives me a 2-second exposure time. And this stuff's not really moving, so I've just been keeping an eye on it when I shoot, and it's not really moving enough to show any motion blur. Check this foreground. Yeah, it looks sharp.
So after I got done taking the standard 3x2 crop in the video, I took some pano images and stitched them together. And I think I actually like the composition of the pano a lot more than the 3x2 crop. So the 3x2 was somewhere right in here, as you saw me take in the video. And I just felt that the composition wasn't that well balanced. I always like to have something in the bottom left or right that kind of grabs the eye and leads it. up into the center of the frame or somewhere else interesting. And I think this stream does a good job at that. And then this chaos in here, your eye's just going to want to move somewhere else. So either way where it starts, it's going to move out. I think these ferns right here often do a good job too. So these move your eye this way, and then it picks up this line, or this one just moves your eye directly into the center. So I like how that composition design worked for this one. And oftentimes when I have a really chaotic scene like this, I'll just take a few panos just to see how it will turn out in the final image. Sometimes I get lucky like this one, other times it doesn't work out at all. But it's always worth the try, because oftentimes really crazy looking forest scenes, I'll look at the back of the camera screen and I'll be like, oh man, this is a killer composition. But once I get home on the computer, I'll find out that it wasn't wide enough. And oftentimes the pano does a really good job at capturing all of that. So the light's starting to fade here. I don't have anywhere near as good of light and color down on the foreground, but I still have this nice dappled light hitting the edges of the trees. And remember, like I said, this is just reflected light. The sun's coming down, it's hitting that forest behind me, and then it's reflecting into this area. So whenever it's non-direct light, it can be really nice for forest shooting. And for this pano as well, I worked on some different shutter speeds, but I ended up liking this shutter speed the most, and it is around 1.3 to 2 seconds. So it still has some texture in it, but it's pretty smooth in this part. And what I found for this shot is, since there's so much chaos in the rest of the scene, I didn't want to add more chaos by having too much texture in the water. So I left it pretty smooth. So let's jump back to the video and finish it up.
Always go with the hyperfocal first, and then if you see any focus dropping off in the foreground, you'll know to refocus down there. But putting it at the first shot you take at hyperfocal will ensure you don't need too many shots from focus stacking. So most of the time I'm just taking a single exposure. That one looks good too, cool. But in the cases where I have a foreground drop off, I just take a second one just in case. And then I want to go home with the computer screen, I can tell a lot better, and I'll go from there. But I'm going to keep shooting in this spot and see if the light changes at all. It kind of looks like the light might be done, but I said that 10 minutes ago and I kept shooting it. It looked pretty good still, so we'll see. I'm probably going to get up closer and work on a composition there tomorrow. And I really like this scene, but I feel like when I see this on the computer, that's just going to be too bright and saturated, and it just won't come together that nicely. Looks good here though, at least on the back of this little GoPro screen. It is time to call it a night. My brain is wiped from all that packing and then getting on the trail, getting everything repacked and hiking out today. I'm just ready to rest and call it for the night and pick things back up in the morning and get after it. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the morning.